Have you ever felt like life's challenges are pulling your strings, making you react in ways you later regret? Imagine having the power to stay calm, unshaken, and in control no matter what the world throws at you. In this video from ZENLIGHT 8, we're diving deep into 7 Stoic principles that can transform how you navigate today's chaotic world. From mastering your emotions to turning adversity into strength, these practical lessons will empower you to take charge of your life. Stick around until the end to discover actionable strategies you can apply right now to live with unshakable peace and purpose. Subscribe to ZENLIGHT 8 and let's start this journey together. Imagine standing in the middle of a bustling city street, horns blaring, people rushing past, and your phone buzzing with a notification, a sharp email from your boss criticizing your latest project. Your heart races, your jaw tightens, and a wave of indignation surges through you. Your fingers itch to fire back a heated reply, to defend your pride, to prove them wrong. But what if, in that fleeting moment, you could pause? What if, instead of being swept away by the storm of your emotions, you could stand firm, unshaken, and choose a different path? This is the heart of Stoicism, a philosophy that doesn't just offer wisdom for ancient times but a practical blueprint for navigating the chaos of modern life. At its core, Stoicism teaches us that true control doesn't come from bending the world to our will, it comes from mastering our reactions to it. By letting go of what we cannot change, we reclaim the power to shape our inner world, and in doing so, we gain dominion over our lives. The essence of this principle lies in a simple but profound truth: there are things within your control and things beyond it. You cannot dictate the words that come out of someone else's mouth, the traffic jam that makes you late, or the sudden rain that ruins your plans. You cannot control the economy, the opinions of others, or the unexpected curveballs life throws your way. But you can always control how you respond. This distinction is the cornerstone of Stoic wisdom articulated by the philosopher Epictetus when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. In a world that often feels like it's spiraling out of control, this idea is more relevant than ever. Every day, we're bombarded with stimuli, social media outrage, workplace pressures, personal setbacks that threaten to pull us into a reactive spiral. Yet, the moment we choose to step back and let go of what we cannot change, we unlock a kind of freedom that no external force can take away. Consider the last time you felt your emotions take the wheel. Maybe it was a snarky comment from a coworker during a Zoom meeting or a driver cutting you off on the freeway. Your blood boiled, and before you knew it, you were snapping back or stewing in frustration for hours. In that moment, who was really in charge? It wasn't you, it was the external trigger. When we react impulsively, we hand over our power to the very things we cannot control. It's like letting a stranger steer your car while you sit helplessly in the passenger seat. But Stoicism offers a different approach. It invites us to pause, to breathe, and to ask a critical question: is this worth my peace? More often than not, the answer is no. By choosing not to react, you're not surrendering, you're asserting control. You're saying, I decide what matters. I decide how this moment will shape me. This principle isn't just about avoiding anger or frustration, it's about cultivating a mindset that empowers you to live intentionally. In today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world where every notification demands our attention and every opinion feels like a personal attack, the ability to let go is a superpower. Take the example of Sarah, a single mother in Chicago who juggles a demanding job and 2 young kids. Last year, her company downsized and she was passed over for a promotion she'd worked tirelessly for. The rejection stung. She could have spiraled into bitterness, blaming her boss or the unfair system. Instead, she took a stoic approach. She acknowledged the disappointment but refused to let it define her. She couldn't control the company's decision, but she could control her next steps. Sarah enrolled in an online course to sharpen her skills, networked with colleagues in her industry, and within 6 months landed a better role at a different firm. Her story isn't just about resilience, it's about recognizing that control lies not in forcing outcomes but in choosing how to move forward. This idea resonates deeply with the principles of critical thinking, which encourage us to question our assumptions and focus on what's within our sphere of influence. In philosophy, this is often called the locus of control. When we fixate on external factors, other people's actions, societal pressures, or random chance, we adopt an external locus of control, leaving us feeling powerless. But when we shift to an internal locus, we take ownership of our thoughts, decisions, and responses. This shift is transformative. It's the difference between being a victim of circumstances and being the architect of your own life. In practical terms, it means reframing challenges as opportunities to exercise your agency. Lost your job? You can't control the economy, but you can update your resume and explore new paths. Facing criticism? You can't control someone's opinion, but you can decide whether to let it fuel self-doubt or motivate growth. To apply this in your daily life, start with small moments. The next time you feel the urge to react, whether it's to a rude email, a social media troll, or a minor inconvenience, pause for 5 seconds. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what can I control here? Maybe it's your tone in a reply, your decision to walk away, or your choice to focus on something productive instead. These small acts of restraint build a habit of self-mastery. Over time, they compound, turning you into someone who navigates life's storms with calm and clarity. In the workplace, this might mean listening to feedback without getting defensive even when it feels unfair. In relationships, it could mean choosing to respond with empathy instead of anger during a heated argument. In your personal growth, it's about letting go of past mistakes and focusing on the steps you can take today. This Stoic principle also aligns with modern psychological insights. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for instance, emphasizes that our emotions are shaped not by events but by how we interpret them. If you spill coffee on your shirt before a big meeting, you might think, this is a disaster, I'm going to look unprofessional. That thought triggers stress. But if you reframe it, it's just a small mishap, I'll clean up and carry on, you diffuse the emotional charge. Stoicism takes this a step further by encouraging us to let go of the need to control the event itself, the spill, and focus solely on our response, how we handle it. This approach is especially powerful in an era where we're constantly tempted to micromanage every aspect of our lives, from our social media image to our career trajectory. The truth is, no amount of planning or worrying can eliminate uncertainty. By embracing this reality, we free ourselves to focus on what truly matters. Let's look at another real-world example. In 2020, during the height of the pandemic, small business owners across the U.S. faced unprecedented challenges. Take Mike, who ran a family-owned diner in Austin, Texas. When lockdowns hit, his revenue plummeted and he faced the prospect of closing for good. The situation was out of his control. Government mandates, customer fears, and supply chain issues weren't his to fix. But Mike didn't let despair take over. He let go of what he couldn't change and focused on what he could. He pivoted to takeout and delivery, created a loyalty program to keep customers engaged, and even started a community fundraiser to support his staff. By the end of the year, his diner was not only surviving but thriving in new ways. Mike's story shows that letting go isn't about giving up, it's about redirecting your energy to where it counts. This philosophy also has spiritual undertones that resonate across cultures. In Christianity, for instance, the Serenity Prayer asks for the wisdom to accept what cannot be changed and the courage to change what can. Similarly, Stoicism calls us to discern between the two and act with purpose. It's a call to live with integrity, to align our actions with our values, and to refuse to let external chaos dictate our inner peace. In a society that often equates strength with dominance or aggression, Stoicism reminds us that true power lies in self-control. It's not about shouting the loudest or winning every argument. It's about standing firm in your principles, even when the world pushes against you. As you reflect on this, think about a moment in your own life when you felt controlled by circumstances. Maybe it was a betrayal, a failure, or an injustice. How did reacting impulsively affect you? Now imagine handling it differently, pausing, letting go of what you couldn't change, and choosing a response that aligned with your deeper goals. That shift, however small, is the seed of transformation. It's the beginning of a life where you're no longer a puppet of the external world, but the master of your own mind. The journey to self-mastery starts with this first step, but it doesn't end here. The next lesson will explore the critical difference between reacting and responding, a choice that defines not just how you handle challenges, but who you become in the process. The journey to mastering your mind, as we explored in letting go of what you cannot control, is only the beginning. It's one thing to recognize that external events don't have to dictate your inner state, but it's another to act on that wisdom in the heat of the moment. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It throws challenges at you, often when you're least prepared. A cutting remark from a friend, a high-stakes deadline at work, or an unexpected crisis can ignite an instinctive urge to react, to lash out, to let your emotions take the wheel. But what if you could choose a different path? What if, instead of being swept away by impulse, you could respond with clarity and purpose? And what if, even under crushing pressure, you could remain a beacon of calm, unshaken by the storm around you? These are the next steps in the Stoic path to self-mastery. learning the art of responding rather than reacting and cultivating the decision to stay calm under pressure. In a world that thrives on instant reactions and constant stress, these skills are not just philosophical ideals. They're practical tools for thriving in modern life. Let's start with the distinction between reacting and responding, a choice that defines not just how you handle a moment but who you become over time. A reaction is raw, immediate, and often uncontrolled. It's the snap judgment, the sharp retort, the flare of anger when someone cuts you off in traffic or leaves a passive-aggressive comment on your social media post. It's your heart pounding, your fists clenching, your mind racing with a need to do something right now. But reactions, as satisfying as they might feel in the moment, are like sparks from a fire. They burn bright and fade fast, often leaving regret in their wake. Think about the last time you reacted impulsively. Maybe you sent a heated text during an argument, only to wish you could unsend it an hour later. Or perhaps you snapped at a colleague in a meeting, damaging a relationship that took months to rebuild. Reactions come from our primal wiring, the fight-or-flight instinct that once helped our ancestors survive predators. But in today's world, where battles are fought in boardrooms, inboxes, and family dinners, reacting on impulse rarely serves us. It's like swinging a sword in a room full of glass. You might feel powerful for a second, but the damage lingers. Responding, on the other hand, is a deliberate act of control. It's the choice to pause, to step back from a trigger, and to ask yourself, is this worth my energy? What's the best way to handle this? Responding doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or avoiding conflict. It means channeling them into actions that align with your values and goals. Imagine you're in a heated discussion with a coworker who criticizes your work in front of the team. Your first instinct might be to fire back, to defend your pride with a cutting remark. But what if you took a deep breath, counted to 5 and said, I appreciate the feedback. Let's discuss this one-on-one to find a solution. That's responding. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being intentional. It's the difference between a small boat tossed by waves and a captain steering through the storm with a steady hand. Epictetus captured this wisdom when he said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your life isn't defined by the challenges you face. It's defined by how you choose to meet them. This choice is especially critical in our hyper-connected, high-speed world. Social media amplifies every slight, turning a stranger's comment into a personal attack. Workplace pressures demand instant replies, often before you've had time to think. Even personal relationships can feel like minefields, where one wrong word can escalate a minor disagreement into a full-blown conflict. In these moments, reacting is the path of least resistance, but it's also the path to least control. Consider the story of James, a software engineer in San Francisco. During a high-stakes project, his team missed a deadline, and his manager sent a scathing email blaming him publicly. James's first impulse was to reply with a defensive tirade, listing every reason the delay wasn't his fault. But he remembered a Stoic principle he'd read: don't trust your initial emotional impulse. Instead, he stepped away from his desk, took a walk around the block, and asked himself, what's my goal here? He realized that reacting in anger would only escalate the situation, while a thoughtful response could rebuild trust. He crafted a calm email acknowledging the issue, proposing solutions, and requesting a meeting to align on next steps. The result? His manager apologized for the tone, and James earned respect for his professionalism. By choosing to respond, he turned a potential career setback into a moment of growth. This story highlights a key Stoic strategy: creating space between stimulus and response. In psychology, this is called the pause principle. Our brains are wired to react quickly, but modern life rarely requires split-second decisions. By inserting a moment of reflection, whether it's a deep breath, a 5-second count, or a quick walk, you give yourself the power to choose. This aligns with critical thinking, which urges us to question our knee-jerk assumptions. When someone provokes you, your mind might scream, they're disrespecting me, but pause and ask, is that true? Or am I projecting my insecurities onto their words? This shift from victimhood to curiosity is transformative. It's not about ignoring your feelings, but about examining them with clarity. In practice, try this. The next time you feel triggered, ask yourself 3 questions. What am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? What response serves my long-term goals? These questions act like a mental circuit breaker, stopping the reactive spiral and guiding you toward a wiser path. But choosing to respond is only half the battle. Life doesn't just test your ability to handle provocations. It tests your capacity to stay calm when the stakes are high. Pressure is a universal human experience, whether it's a looming deadline, a financial crisis, or a personal loss. In these moments, our bodies kick into overdrive, flooding us with adrenaline, making our hearts race and our thoughts scatter. This fight-or-flight response, while useful for outrunning a bear, often backfires in modern contexts. Panic during a job interview can cost you an opportunity. Freezing in a crisis can lead to costly mistakes. But here's a truth most people overlook. Calm is not a reaction. It's a decision. It's the choice to steady your breath, clear your mind, and focus on what you can control, even when the world feels like it's crumbling. Stoicism teaches us that pressure reveals who we are. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, the stress of a situation doesn't come from the event. It comes from how you interpret it. This idea, known as reframing in psychology, is a cornerstone of staying calm. Reframing means choosing a different narrative about a challenge. Losing a job might feel like a catastrophe, but what if it's an opportunity to pivot to a career you're passionate about? A public failure might sting, but what if it's a lesson that makes you stronger? This isn't blind optimism. It's a deliberate choice to see possibilities where others see only obstacles. Take the example of Emily, a nurse in New York City during the 2020 pandemic. Working 12-hour shifts in an overwhelmed hospital, she faced constant pressure, patients flooding in, equipment shortages, and the emotional toll of loss. Her colleagues were burning out, some reacting with frustration or despair. But Emily, inspired by Stoic ideas she'd read, made a conscious choice to stay calm. She couldn't control the virus or the hospital's resources, but she could control her mindset. She reframed each shift as a chance to make a difference, focusing on small acts of care, holding a patient's hand, reassuring a family. To manage stress, she practiced box breathing, a technique used by Navy SEALs. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, repeat. Studies show this lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, shifting the brain from panic to clarity. Emily's calm became a lifeline, not just for her but for her team, who leaned on her steadiness in the chaos. Box breathing is just one tool for cultivating calm. Another is deliberate exposure to discomfort, a Stoic practice that builds mental resilience. The idea is simple: if you only live in ease, the smallest setback will rattle you. But if you train yourself to handle stress, you become unshakable. In ancient Rome, Stoics like Seneca would practice poverty, eating simple meals or sleeping on the floor to prepare for hardship. Today, this might look like waking up at 5 a.m. to exercise, taking cold showers, or tackling a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. These small challenges condition your mind to stay steady when real adversity strikes. In Silicon Valley, tech entrepreneurs like Jack, a startup founder, used this approach. When his company faced a cash flow crisis, Jack didn't panic. He trained himself to handle stress through daily meditation and by intentionally taking on tough tasks, like pitching to skeptical investors. His calm focus allowed him to negotiate a bridge loan, saving his business. As he put it, pressure doesn't break you if you've already practiced bending. This aligns with modern neuroscience, which shows that stress resilience is like a muscle, it strengthens with use. When you face manageable stress, your brain adapts, building neural pathways that help you stay calm in future crises. This is why first responders train in simulated emergencies, why athletes practice under fatigue, and why Stoics embrace discomfort. In your own life, start small. The next time you're stuck in traffic, resist the urge to honk or fume. Instead, use it as a chance to practice patience, turn on a podcast, or focus on your breath. At work, when a project goes off track, don't spiral into blame. Reframe it: this is a chance to problem solve. These moments of intentional calm build a foundation for handling bigger storms. Spiritually, this principle echoes across traditions. The Bible says, "Fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end." In Buddhism, mindfulness teaches us to observe our emotions without being ruled by them. Stoicism synthesizes these ideas into a practical framework. You can't stop the storm, but you can choose to be the eye of it. In a culture that glorifies hustle and instant gratification, staying calm is a radical act. It's a refusal to let external chaos dictate your inner peace. It's a commitment to live with intention, to be the captain of your ship no matter how rough the seas. Reflect on a time when pressure got the better of you. Maybe you snapped under a tight deadline or froze during a public speech. Now imagine handling it differently, breathing deeply, reframing the challenge, focusing on one step at a time. That shift is the essence of Stoic calm. It's not about never feeling stress, it's about never letting stress control you. As you practice responding over reacting and staying calm under pressure, you're building a life of resilience and purpose. But this is only the foundation. The next lessons, ignoring insults and mastering the power of pause, will show you how to elevate this wisdom, turning everyday provocations into opportunities for strength. As we've journeyed through the Stoic principles of letting go, responding with intention, and staying calm under pressure, we've begun to see how true control lies not in dominating the world around us but in mastering our inner responses. Yet, life has a way of testing this mastery in the most personal and provocative ways. A cutting remark from a stranger, a snide comment from a colleague, or a passive-aggressive jab from a friend can pierce our composure like an arrow, tempting us to fire back, to defend our honor, to prove we're not weak. And in those moments of tension when our pride is on the line, the world seems to demand an instant reaction. But what if the greatest strength lies in doing nothing at all? What if, by refusing to engage, you could rise above the noise and reclaim your peace? And what if, by simply pausing before acting, you could transform chaos into clarity? These are the next steps in the Stoic path, learning to ignore insults with unshakable dignity and harnessing the power of pause to maintain control. In a culture that celebrates quick comebacks and instant gratification, these practices are not just counterintuitive, they're revolutionary, offering a roadmap to inner freedom in today's fast-paced world. Let's begin with the art of ignoring insults, a skill that challenges everything we've been taught about pride and self-respect. From childhood, we're conditioned to believe that when someone slights us, we must respond, that silence equals surrender. A playground taunt, a workplace jab, or an online troll's venom feels like an attack on our identity, and our instinct is to fight back, to match their words with sharper ones, to prove we're not the weaker party. But Stoicism flips the script, revealing a profound truth: an insult only has power if you give it weight. Words are just sounds carried through the air, meaningless unless you choose to let them define you. When someone hurls a barb your way, it's like a burning coal tossed at your feet. You can pick it up and let it scorch you, or you can step aside and let it cool on the ground. The choice is yours, and choosing to walk away isn't weakness, it's victory. You win not by out-shouting your opponent but by refusing to play their game. This idea is deeply countercultural in America, where social media amplifies every slight and public discourse often rewards the loudest voice. Scroll through X or any platform and you'll see people trading insults like currency, each jab escalating into a spiral of outrage. But notice something: those who provoke the most, who sling insults with glee, are often the least secure. Their words come not from strength but from a need to mask their own fragility. When you react to their bait, you don't just lower yourself to their level, you hand them the power to dictate your emotions. Stoicism teaches us to see through this trap. Epictetus said, "It is not events that disturb people, but their judgments concerning them." An insult only hurts if you decide it matters. By choosing to let it pass, you're not just preserving your peace, you're asserting your sovereignty over your mind. Consider the story of Maya, a high school teacher in Atlanta. During a parent-teacher conference, a frustrated parent unleashed a tirade, calling her incompetent and questioning her credentials in front of colleagues. The room went silent, all eyes on Maya. Her heart raced, and her first impulse was to defend herself, to list her qualifications and years of service. But she remembered a Stoic lesson: don't let others' words control your worth. Instead of reacting, she paused, took a deep breath, and responded calmly, "I hear your concerns, let's focus on how we can support your child." Her restraint disarmed the parent, who later apologized and earned her respect from colleagues. Maya's choice wasn't about avoiding conflict, it was about refusing to let someone else's anger dictate her dignity. In that moment, she was untouchable, not because she was immune to pain, but because she chose not to give it power. This principle aligns with critical thinking, which urges us to question our automatic responses. When insulted, our mind often leaps to, "They're attacking me, I must fight back." But pause and ask, is this true? Are their words a reflection of me or of their own struggles? This shift from reaction to reflection is liberating. It's also backed by psychology. Studies on emotional regulation show that reframing negative stimuli, seeing an insult as a fleeting opinion rather than a personal truth, reduces stress and enhances well-being. In practice, try this. The next time someone offends you, don't respond immediately. Let a moment of silence hang in the air. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week? A month? A year? Most insults fade into irrelevance like leaves drifting on a lake. By letting them float by, you save your energy for what truly matters: your goals, your relationships, your growth. But ignoring insults doesn't mean becoming a doormat. Stoicism isn't about enduring abuse in silence. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, at work, in a relationship, or elsewhere, a deliberate response may be necessary. The key is to respond with intention, not impulse. Imagine a coworker who constantly undermines you in meetings. Instead of snapping back, you might look them in the eye and say, "I'd appreciate it if we kept this constructive." Or, sometimes a single glance, calm, indifferent, unshaken, says more than words ever could. This kind of response, rooted in self-control, shifts the dynamic. It shows that their words have no hold over you, and often that's enough to stop the cycle. In a world obsessed with clapbacks and viral takedowns, choosing restraint is a quiet rebellion, a refusal to let pettiness pull you down. This brings us to the second principle, the power of pause, a deceptively simple act that can transform how you navigate life's challenges. Our brains are wired to react instantly, a survival mechanism from a time when hesitation could mean death. But in today's world, where threats are more psychological than physical, this instinct often betrays us. A harsh email, a heated argument, or a sudden setback can trigger a flood of emotions, pushing us to act before we think. The result? Words we regret, decisions we second-guess, and opportunities we miss. Stoicism offers a remedy: pause. By inserting a moment of stillness between stimulus and action, you create space for clarity, allowing reason to guide you instead of emotion. It's like stepping back from the edge of a cliff, giving yourself room to assess the terrain before leaping. The transcript introduced the 5-second rule, a practical tool for pausing. When you feel the urge to react, take a deep breath and count to 5 before speaking or acting. It sounds trivial, but its impact is profound. In those 5 seconds, your brain shifts from the reactive amygdala to the rational prefrontal cortex, giving you the power to choose. Take the example of David, a sales manager in Seattle. During a tense client meeting, a key account holder criticized his team's proposal, dismissing months of work. David felt anger rising, his instinct urging him to argue back. But he'd been practicing the 5-second rule. He inhaled, counted silently, and instead of defending himself, asked, "Can you share what specific changes would meet your needs?" This question turned the conversation productive, saving the deal and earning the client's respect. David's pause wasn't just a tactic, it was a declaration of control, proof that he could steer the moment rather than be swept away by it. Pausing isn't just about emotional restraint, it's about creating mental space to align your actions with your values. In philosophy, this is tied to the Greek concept of ataraxia, a state of tranquil clarity. Picture yourself standing on a bridge, watching a river rush below. If you lean too close to the edge, a gust of wind could throw you off balance. But if you step back, you stand firm, observing the current without fear of falling. Pausing is that step back. It's the difference between shouting in a heated family argument and saying, "Let's take a moment and talk this through calmly." It's the choice to close your laptop instead of firing off an angry email. It's the decision to walk away from a toxic online debate rather than adding fuel to the fire. In each case, the pause doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you, giving you the freedom to act with purpose. This principle is especially vital in our always-on, high-pressure culture. Americans are bombarded with stimuli, notifications, deadlines, social expectations that demand instant responses. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day, often reacting to every ping without a second thought. But every reaction, no matter how small, chips away at your mental bandwidth. Pausing reclaims that bandwidth. It's a skill used by top performers across fields. Elite athletes pause to visualize their next move before a critical play. Negotiators pause to assess their opponent's tone before responding. Even surgeons pause to steady their hands before a delicate incision. In your own life, you can apply this in countless ways. When a friend snaps at you, pause before assuming malice, maybe they're stressed. When a work crisis hits, pause to prioritize instead of panicking. When you're tempted to overspend on a sale, pause to ask, "Do I really need this?" These moments of stillness are where control is born. Pausing also has a physical dimension. Sometimes, the best way to break a reactive cycle is to change your environment. If an argument is escalating, step outside for a walk. If you're overwhelmed at your desk, stand up and stretch. Even a small shift like moving to a different room can reset your perspective. Neuroscience supports this. Changing your physical context disrupts the brain's automatic response patterns, giving you a chance to think clearly. Take Sarah, a marketing director in Denver. During a high-stakes campaign launch, her team faced a last-minute glitch that threatened to derail everything. Frustration mounted, and she felt the urge to snap at her staff. Instead, she excused herself, walked to the office courtyard, and practiced box breathing for 2 minutes. When she returned, she was calm, focused, and able to lead her team to a solution. That brief pause didn't just save the project, it saved her leadership credibility. Spiritually, pausing and ignoring insults echo timeless wisdom. The Bible advises, do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him. In Stoicism, this is about refusing to let external noise disrupt your inner harmony. In a world that equates strength with aggression, choosing silence or restraint is a radical act of power. It's a reminder that you don't need to win every argument to win at life. By ignoring insults, you protect your peace. By pausing, you protect your purpose. Together, these practices build a life where you're not at the mercy of every provocation but the master of your own path. Reflect on a time when an insult or a heated moment pushed you to react. What did it cost you? Now imagine letting the insult slide, pausing to choose a response that aligned with your deeper goals. That shift is the essence of Stoic strength. As you practice these skills, you'll find that the world's chaos loses its grip on you. But this is only part of the journey. The next lessons, enduring with purpose and embracing what comes, will show you how to turn adversity itself into a source of unbreakable resilience. The Stoic journey we've walked together, learning to let go of the uncontrollable, responding with intention, staying calm under pressure, ignoring insults, and pausing for clarity, has revealed a profound truth. True power lies not in shaping the world to our desires but in mastering our inner selves. Yet life's deepest challenges often demand more than momentary restraint or clever reframing. There are moments when the weight of the world feels unbearable, a dream shattered, a loved one lost, a goal that seems forever out of reach. In these trials, it's not enough to stay composed or silent. You must tap into a deeper well of strength, one that allows you to endure hardship not just with grit but with purpose. And beyond endurance lies an even greater wisdom, the ability to embrace every twist of fate, to love the life you're given, no matter how unforgiving it seems. These final Stoic principles, purposeful endurance and embracing fate, complete the path to self-mastery, offering not just a way to survive the chaos of modern life but a way to thrive in it, with resilience, meaning, and unshakable peace. Let's start with purposeful endurance, the quiet, unyielding strength that emerges when you choose to face adversity without breaking. In a culture that celebrates quick wins, viral success, and instant gratification, endurance is often misunderstood. It's tempting to see it as passive, as if holding steady through pain is somehow less heroic than a dramatic victory. But Stoicism reveals a different truth. Endurance is one of the purest forms of power. It's not about shouting your defiance or overpowering your obstacles. It's about standing firm, conserving your energy, and refusing to let impulse drain your spirit. When you react impulsively to every setback or slight, you scatter your strength, wasting it on battles that don't matter. But when you endure with purpose, you become like a river carving through stone, not by force, but by persistence, by choosing where to direct your flow. Think about the last time life tested your patience. Maybe it was a project that fell apart despite your best efforts, a relationship strained by misunderstanding, or a personal goal that felt further away with every step. Your instinct might have been to lash out, to blame others, or to give in to despair. That urge is human. It's the primal part of us screaming for release. But Stoicism asks you to pause and consider, what does this reaction cost me? A burst of anger might feel good for a moment, but it leaves you depleted, your focus fractured, your energy spent on a fight that changes nothing. Purposeful endurance is the opposite. It's the choice to let go of pointless reactions and channel your strength into what you can control. Your mindset, your actions, your resolve. This is the strength of the Stoic, who doesn't just survive adversity but grows through it. Like a tree bending in the wind but never breaking. Consider the story of Marcus, a small business owner in Portland, Oregon. In 2022, his artisanal coffee shop was hit hard by inflation and supply chain disruptions. Customers dwindled, bills piled up, and he faced the heartbreaking prospect of laying off staff he'd grown to love like family. The stress was overwhelming, and there were moments when Marcus wanted to scream at suppliers, curse the economy, or simply shut the doors for good. But he'd been reading about Stoicism and was struck by the example of Cato, who endured public ridicule to train his indifference to external judgment. Inspired, Marcus chose to endure with purpose. He couldn't control the market or global supply chains, but he could control his response. Instead of reacting with panic, he focused on what was within his reach. Renegotiating his lease, pivoting to online sales, and hosting community events to draw customers back. Month by month, he rebuilt his business, not by avoiding hardship but by embracing it as a test of his character. Marcus's endurance wasn't just about survival, it was about transformation, turning a crisis into a chance to grow stronger. This stoic practice of purposeful endurance is rooted in a powerful idea. Discomfort is a teacher. The Stoics didn't shy away from hardship. They sought it out, knowing that resilience is forged in the crucible of challenge. Seneca, for instance, would periodically live as if he were poor, eating simple meals or sleeping on the floor, to prepare himself for adversity. The logic was clear. If you're accustomed to comfort, the smallest inconvenience will rattle you, but if you train in discomfort, you become unshakable. In modern life, this might look like waking up at 5 a.m. to run in the cold, fasting for a day to practice self-discipline, or tackling a task you've been dreading. These small acts of endurance are like mental weightlifting, building the strength to face life's bigger storms. In Silicon Valley, entrepreneurs like Priya, who launched a tech startup in 2023, embody this approach. Facing fierce competition and investor skepticism, Priya trained her resilience by setting daily challenges, making 10 cold calls, working 12-hour days without distractions, even meditating in high-stress moments. When her company hit a funding crisis, she didn't crumble. Her practiced endurance allowed her to pivot her strategy, secure a new investor, and keep her team intact. As she said, "You don't rise to the challenge, you rise to the level of your preparation." This aligns with modern psychology, particularly the concept of grit, which Angela Duckworth defines as passion and perseverance for long-term goals. Grit isn't blind stubbornness. It's purposeful, rooted in a clear sense of why you're enduring. Stoicism adds a layer of wisdom. Endure not just to get through but to grow. In practice, start with small moments. The next time you're tempted to snap at a rude coworker or dwell on a minor failure, pause and ask, "Is this worth my energy?" If not, let it go and redirect your focus to something meaningful, a project, a relationship, a personal goal. These acts of restraint build a reservoir of strength, preparing you for life's true tests. At work, this might mean staying focused on a long-term deadline despite short-term setbacks. In relationships, it could mean listening patiently during a disagreement instead of escalating it. In your personal growth, it's about pushing through the discomfort of learning a new skill. Knowing each step makes you stronger. Purposeful endurance sets the stage for the final Stoic principle. Amor fati, the love of fate. At first, this idea feels almost impossible. How do you love a layoff, a diagnosis, a betrayal? But amor fati isn't about pretending pain is joy. It's about accepting reality as it is and choosing to find meaning in it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Life is that fire, and every challenge, no matter how bitter, is fuel for your growth. To embrace fate is to stop fighting what you cannot change, the past, others' actions, the uncertainty of tomorrow, and to focus on what you can do with what you're given. It's a shift from resistance to transformation, from "why is this happening to me?" to "how can I use this to become better?" In our hyper-controlled modern world, where we're bombarded with messages to micromanage every detail, our careers, our bodies, our social media image, amor fati is a radical antidote. The more we cling to control, the more we suffer when life defies our plans. Imagine a kayaker battling a raging river, thrashing against its current. The harder they fight, the more they're pulled under. But if they align with the river's flow, adjusting their paddle with skill, they find freedom. Life is that river, and embracing it means accepting its twists without losing your direction. This doesn't mean passivity. A kayaker still paddles, steers, and adapts, they just don't argue with the water. Similarly, Stoics don't argue with off-white Stoics, accept reality, then act with purpose. Take Elena, a freelance graphic designer in Miami. In 2021, A major client canceled a contract that was her primary income source. The loss was devastating, and Elena felt like giving up. But she'd been exploring stoicism and decided to practice some more fatty. She couldn't undo the cancellation, but she could embrace it as an opportunity. She used the free time to build a portfolio website, learn new software, and pitch to new industries. Within a year, she'd replaced the lost income and built a more resilient career. Elena didn't just survive. She transformed a setback into a springboard, proving that embracing fate is about making meaning from what life gives you. This principle ties to critical thinking, which urges us to challenge our default narratives. When adversity strikes, we often catastrophize, seeing it as a dead end. But Stoicism asks us to reframe. What can I learn? How can this make me stronger? This aligns with resilience research, which shows that finding meaning in hardship enhances well-being. One Stoic practice is negative visualization. Each morning, imagine the worst-case scenarios: losing your job, facing rejection, or worse. Not to fear them, but to prepare. By mentally rehearsing adversity, you strip it of its power to paralyze. In practice, visualize a tough work meeting or a personal setback, then plan how you'd respond with calm and action. When you've faced the worst in your mind, reality feels manageable. In daily life, amor fati means meeting challenges with possibility. A canceled flight? Use the delay to read or connect with someone. A relationship ends? See it as a chance to rediscover yourself. A plan fails? Ask, what new path is opening? In America's high-pressure culture, where setbacks feel like failures, amor fati reminds us that life isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be lived. Every scar, every detour, is part of your story, and you can make it one of growth. Spiritually, this echoes the Bible. Which of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life? Worrying about the uncontrollable exhausts you without changing reality. Stoicism offers a better path. Accept the challenge, then act. Try this. When adversity hits, say, "This is my fate, and I choose to make it mine." Then take one step. Seek support, learn a skill, or rest. These steps defy despair, proving you can shape your path. As we close this Stoic journey, reflect on the path we've walked. From letting go to responding with intention, staying calm, ignoring insults, pausing, enduring, and embracing fate. These principles form a blueprint for a life of resilience and freedom. They remind us that strength isn't about winning every fight. It's about choosing who you become in the chaos. So, take the first step today. Pause before reacting, endure a small discomfort, or embrace a setback as fuel. Your life is yours to shape, and with Stoicism, you hold the tools to make it unshakable. Start now, because the only thing you truly control is the choice to begin. As we stand at the end of this Stoic journey, take a moment to reflect on the path we've traveled together. We began by learning to let go of what we cannot control, reclaiming power over our reactions in a world that often feels like it's pulling our strings. We discovered the difference between reacting impulsively and responding with intention, choosing clarity over chaos in moments of provocation. We explored how to stay calm under pressure, reframing challenges as opportunities and using tools like box breathing to anchor ourselves in the storm. We learned to ignore insults, rising above petty provocations with unshakable dignity. We embraced the power of pause, creating space for wisdom in a culture that demands instant answers. We cultivated purposeful endurance, transforming hardship into a forge for resilience. And finally, we embraced amor fati, the radical act of loving our fate, turning every twist of life into fuel for growth. These 7 Stoic principles, letting go, responding, staying calm, ignoring insults, pausing, enduring, and embracing fate, are not just ancient wisdom. They are a blueprint for thriving in today's fast-paced, unpredictable, and often overwhelming world. They remind us that true strength isn't about controlling everything around us. It's about mastering who we are within. This journey has shown us that life is not a straight line to success or a series of obstacles to overcome. It's a constant dance between what happens to us and how we choose to meet it. Every day, you face moments that test your resolve, A cutting remark, a missed opportunity, a plan gone awry. In those moments, the world will tempt you to react, to lash out, to let your emotions take the wheel. But Stoicism offers a different path. It's the path of the marathon runner who paces themselves, the captain who steers through the storm, the artist who sees beauty in the raw material of life's chaos. It's a path that doesn't promise an easy life, but a meaningful one, where you are not a victim of circumstances, but the architect of your own peace. And in 2025, as we navigate a world of endless notifications, social media noise, and relentless pressure, this path is more vital than ever. So, how do you apply these Stoic principles to your life today? Start with awareness. The first step to change is noticing when you're about to react impulsively. The next time you feel anger rising, whether it's a snarky email from a coworker, a family argument, or a stranger's rude comment, pause, take a deep breath, count to 5, and ask, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, let it go. This simple act, repeated daily, builds a habit of self-control that ripples into every area of your life. At work, it might mean listening to criticism without getting defensive, turning feedback into fuel for growth. In relationships, it could mean choosing empathy over anger, pausing to understand before you respond. On social media, it's about scrolling past the outrage bait, refusing to let a stranger's words steal your calm. These small choices are the bricks of a resilient life, each one strengthening your ability to face bigger challenges. Next, embrace discomfort as a teacher. Modern life is designed for ease, streamlined apps, same-day delivery, endless entertainment at your fingertips. But ease breeds fragility. If you want to be unshakable, seek out small challenges that push your limits. Wake up 30 minutes earlier to journal or exercise. Take a cold shower to practice discipline. Say no to a distraction that pulls you from your goals. These acts of purposeful endurance prepare you for life's inevitable storms. In a professional setting, this might mean volunteering for a tough project to hone your skills, even if it feels daunting. Personally, it could mean having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, knowing it will deepen your connection. Over time, you'll find that discomfort isn't your enemy. It's your ally, forging a version of you that can handle anything. Most importantly, practice a more fatty in the moments that test you most. Life in 2025 is unpredictable. Economic shifts, career pivots, personal losses can strike without warning. When they do, resist the urge to fight what you cannot change. Instead, ask, how can I make this mine? A missed promotion might lead you to a better path. A health setback could inspire a new focus on wellness. A relationship's end might open the door to self-discovery. This mindset doesn't erase pain. It transforms it, giving you the power to shape your story. Try this. At the start of each day, take a moment to visualize a challenge you might face. A tough meeting, a personal worry, or an unexpected delay. Imagine embracing it, not with resentment, but with curiosity. What can this teach me? This practice, rooted in Stoic negative visualization, builds a mental shield, ensuring you're never caught off guard. These Stoic principles are not abstract theories, they're tools you can wield right now. In a world that measures success by likes, followers, and paychecks, Stoicism redefines it as inner freedom. It's the freedom to walk through a crowded city, bombarded by noise, and remain centered. It's the freedom to face rejection and say, I'll try again. It's the freedom to look at your life, with all its imperfections, and say, this is enough, and I will make it extraordinary. But freedom like this requires action. It's not enough to hear these ideas or nod in agreement. You must live them, test them, make them your own. Start today. Choose one principle, maybe pausing before reacting or embracing a small discomfort, and apply it this week. Notice how it shifts your perspective, how it strengthens your resolve. Then build from there, brick by brick, until Stoicism isn't just a philosophy but a way of being. This is where you come in, and this is where ZENLIGHT 8 becomes your partner in this journey. Our mission at ZENLIGHT 8 is to bring timeless wisdom to life, offering practical tools to help you navigate the chaos of modern living with clarity and purpose. If the Stoic journey has sparked something in you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to ZENLIGHT 8 on YouTube and join a community of people just like you. Seekers, dreamers, and doers who are ready to take control of their lives. Every video we create is a step toward that goal, packed with insights you can apply right now to build a stronger, wiser, more resilient you. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to grow. And if this message resonates, give this video a thumbs up. It's a small way to spread this wisdom to others who need it. But don't stop there. We want to hear from you. In the comments below, share your thoughts on these 7 Stoic principles. Which one hit home for you? Maybe it's letting go of what you can't control, or perhaps it's embracing a more fatty in a tough moment. Tell us how you've applied or plan to apply these ideas in your life. Or if you're just starting, share which principle you'll try first and why. Your story could inspire someone else in the ZENLIGHT 8 community to take their first step. Let's make this a conversation, a movement, a shared commitment to living with intention. Drop your comment now, and let's see how these 7 principles are transforming lives. As you move forward, carry this truth with you. You are not at the mercy of the world. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of doubt is an opportunity to choose who you are. Stoicism doesn't promise a life without pain, but it gives you the tools to face it with courage, to shape it with purpose, to love it with all its flaws. So go out there and live it. Pause before you react. Endure with purpose. Embrace your fate. And above all, take control of the one thing you'll always have, yourself. The journey starts now, and ZENLIGHT 8 is here to walk it with you.